Hi, I'm Ray and welcome to TinyTableGames. Today is episode 22 of 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. After completing that dungeon delve and racking up some good loot and some experience, it's time to move on and get back to doing some adventure pointing. So in today's episode, the goal is to go take on the faceless enemy and their hideout, which was in the edge of the mountains there, Breen's Peace Mountains, and make our way closer to concluding this campaign by removing all of the threats. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get to it. So, after last episode, they had finished cleaning out the dungeon, and then they cleaned out the roving undead up here at 29, which is now scratched out. So, the group's goal now is to rest up and head on down to 16, which, as we found out a while ago, is the Faceless Kingdom's hideout. If we take that one out, then we're down to just one hideout left that we need to eliminate, as well as reduce their influence in the area to conclude the campaign and be big winners, so to speak. Okay, camp event table for the start of the day. 75, which is attacked. Select a random warband member and make it 8+ wits test. If they fail, they're injured for 1 turn and a random item they carry is damaged. Huh. All right. We got 7 people, including the followers, so we'll just roll this D8 right here and see how we end up. 8. Oh, 3. Can't see. So 1, 2, 3. So George is injured. That's bad luck. So George has to make a wits test. Does he have the wit skill? No, too bad it wasn't lucky. She picked it up. All right, so 8+, no modifier. Nope, he's not smart enough. So George gets wounded for 1 turn, or injured, I should say. And 1 random item is damaged. Well, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 items. So 3. That's his fine self bow, which is now no longer fine. Checking our inventory, we probably have a spare. We'll swap out our spare fine longbow for George and put his regular self bow back in the inventory. And we've got 7 people in the warband, and we've got 34 gold pieces at this point. And it would be delightful to be able to scout down to this location. So we're just going to pay our warband our 1d3 + 1 gold pieces, which in this case is 3 gold pieces. So it takes us down to 31 gold. And now we're going to move on to our actions, one of which is scout in our attempt to get down to that hideout without having to make a travel roll. So 6+ with the scouting check. Yep, no problem there. So we can scout down to the hideout. And then the next question is, what else are we going to do? For our second activity, we're going to do something we haven't done yet, which is train, which is you give 1 person 1 experience point. Wolf's at 29, so giving him 1 experience point will level him up and give him an experience roll before we set out. So it seems like a good time to do it. So that bumps him up to 30. And let's see what sort of advance he gets. That's a 19. A 19 is speed or skill. Wow. Well, he's already speed 6, so we're just going to make him speed 7, because I think that's more useful than an extra skill most of the time. We can now proceed from where we were camped out at 29, straight down to the Faceless Kingdom's hideout. It will travel along this way. While we're at it, we're going to make the leadership roll now, because we already know we have 1 captain. So let's see what else we got. Ot 1. And Ot 1 is no extra leadership. So that's a lucky break for us. So there's 1 captain. Now we got to figure out what we're actually fighting. Faceless Kingdom characters have some interesting abilities when they're specifically that. 1, if they initiate a melee, they automatically have counterattack for the duration of that melee. And whenever a figure is removed due to morale failure, the enemy figure furthest from the player's battlefield edge takes a full move as directly as forward as possible. Anyway, let's roll and see who we're fighting. 44. And 44 is Legion of the Swine, a tough legion that prides itself on violent tactics and self-determination. Crossbow legionnaires cannot provide a combat bonus. There are 2 crossbowmen. They have movement of 4, sprint of 2, +1 combat, +1 to toughness penetration, 4 points of armor, 4 points of toughness and 1 point of armor. Okay, and obviously the captain's boosted in pretty much all ways. All right, let's see how many of them we got. It's a +2, because we're a group of 7. If we were 8, it'd be more. 5. I don't think this hideout's going to be that hard. So, 5 Legion of the Swine. We must have caught them while they were out somewhere. +1 captain. Okay, here is our setup. It's pretty elaborate, but hey, it's approaching from the woods to a hideout. So over here we have the heroes, all 7 of them. We got Vicious Vic, Ivan, Lucky, Claus, Wolf, George, and Emo Eric. They're approaching through some woods, obviously pretty thick woods in several cases. This is a little barricade. You can move that way if you choose to, or shoot through it, but you can't cross this way through it. That's just a little fencey area which gives cover. Up here on the little watchtower, you can't see him in there, but there is a dude with a crossbow. This is the other crossbowman. Over here we've got the leader, 2 dudes standing around listening to him, which is part of the setup. You have to have your leader and 2 other people kind of in a little cluster, and then fan out the others. So 1 guy in the watchtower, which will give him a +1 to hit things, or see things, I think, in this case. Other crossbowmen down here, and 1 guy over here doing who knows what. Probably best not to ask. All right, as always with these sorts of things, you attempt to infiltrate first. So you move 1 person 4 inches, and then you roll to see if they notice. I guess Vic Vicious, because he's over here and in good cover. So he will move 4 inches up. He is partially obscured by cover, which negates the +1 he gets for being in the tower. So the closest enemy will attempt to detect them. He is 10 inches away. So the enemy rolls 2d6. That's a 10. If it's above the distance, between the 2 figures, you were detected. Otherwise, move a new figure. So he was almost detected, just not quite. So next up, we will move Lucky. He will also move 4 inches. And make the roll again. She is now basically 9.5 inches. So we'll call it 10 again. And he almost sees her again. Next up, Wolf. Well, actually maybe Emo Eric will go next. And he'll move up to here. That puts him 9 inches away. And that is a 9. Wow, that's creepy. All right. George. And regardless of their movement, you only move them 4 inches. George is also, I would say, 9 inches away. I'll double check in a second. It doesn't matter though, because he's definitely more than 6 inches away. Next up is Wolf. I guess we'll just pile up here with everybody else. He is 10 inches away from the dude in the tower. So 11 or 12. Nope. Claus. Yeah, Claus is going to go this way. Which we know is probably a 10. Hey, 11. Claus blows it, steps on a stick, and alerts the enemy. That said, now that we've begun the battle, the goal is to defeat the enemy leader. That's how you wipe out the hideout. If there's more than 1 leader, you have to wipe them all out, but fortunately we rolled no additional leaders. 1 person's initiative dice who are sneaking it automatically get set to 1. After that, it's normal initiative. And here we go. got Claus, Lucky, and George and Wolf all going early, and the rest of the team going after the bad guys. So, to get started, we are going to attempt to take out the crossbow sentry up here in the tower, even though he has all kinds of bonuses. So Claus, he's going to move 2 inches so he can see a little bit better, at least between these trees. He's still shooting at a up angle to the guy in the tower, which gives him a +1. So it's more than 6 inches away. So he is hitting only on a 6, shooting at this guy. Nope, he misses. All right. Well, that's a lot to hope for, I guess, on the first shot. Next up is Lucky. She is going to do the same. Well, she can't even see that dude till she moves past those trees. So she moves 2 this way. Then she's got a line through the trees at that guy. So she is also hitting on a 6. Almost, but not quite. Okay. Wolf and George are left on the early team. George is going to advance 5 and stop right here. He's not going to do anything else because he can't. He's moved too far, but I don't want to stick him all the way out in the open with both crossbowmen. We're just sitting there waiting. This way he has cover. And Wolf can move 3.5 inches and still shoot, which is crazy. So he can get over into this little alley section. Fortunately, they don't have fireballs. And also shoot at the guy in the tower. Also hitting only on a 6. Yeah, and he does it. Wolf's crossbow has a +1 to punching through armor, so he doesn't need to make an armor check, but he does need to make the toughness check. And this guy is toughness 4. So 5 or better takes him right out. Anything else wounds except a 1. So he is wounded in the tower. On to the villain phase. First up will be the guy in the tower who is currently wounded. He will take a shot right back at Wolf. He will hit on a 4+. It would be 5+, but he's in the tower, so that gives him a +1. He hits. Let's see. Wolf has 2 points of armor, so anything but a 1, because the crossbow reduces his armor by 1. And it's a 1. So it doesn't get through Wolf's armor. Lucky break for him. And that's it for that guy. Next up is the second crossbowman, who can see both Lucky and Wolf just fine, and Claus, in fact. So 1, 2, 3 is Claus, 4, 5, or 6 is Lucky. Lucky it is. So he will take a shot at Lucky with his crossbow, hitting on a 5+. Nope, he misses. But he does not run out of ammo. Next up is the leader and these other 2 guys. They can move 4 inches and sprint another 2. So this guy is going to run up to this second barrier here, so he still has some cover. This guy can't get that far, so he's going to pause here because he's not an idiot. And the leader, doesn't have any ranged combat, so he is going to move up also. He can go 6 inches. But for right now, he is going to move to the back side of this tower, keeping in cover, because otherwise he's going to be out here, and that's going to be tricky. On to the slow heroes. Vic Vicious can move 2 whole inches and still use his sling. So he will step up right here in front of Claus. And is he even within range of this guy with his sling? Just. So he will take a shot at this guy who is obscured. So he hits only on a 6. Nope. Next up is Emo Eric, who Oh, can't believe I forgot about that other guy. Sorry about that. He will move up to there. Okay, Emo Eric is going to step 2 inches forward and take a shot. No, you can't even see him because of those trees. So never mind, he's just going to move up to here with his sprint, and that'll be all he does. That just leaves Ivan, who has nothing to see either at the moment. So he will move up to here running and act as the support guy in case somebody needs to get healed. That concludes the round. Nobody was killed, so there's no morale issues, and we're on to initiative. So basically, everybody except Claus is going late. And Claus will just repeat his past performance and shoot at the guy in the tower again, only again hitting on a 6. But he gets it. And he is not using a crossbow, so he needs anything but a 1 to punch past his armor. No problem there. And anything but a 1 because the dude's already wounded. And he does it. So the guy in the watchtower does a dramatic, oh, and falls out. And now it is the enemy turn. There's still this crossbowman, so he will shift slightly to take advantage of a situation and shoot at Vic Vicious, who is not too far away from him. So he will be hitting on a 5+, but he misses. This guy is going to shift over a little bit that way, but otherwise hold position, because they're going to make them come up, because it's their hideout after all. Actually, he should retreat. So instead, this guy will actually back up. Whoop, and move over here. The fearless leader, who has no ranged effect, is just going to hide back over there. And this guy will continue to stay behind that barrier and cheer everybody on. Slow hero phase. Lucky, I guess, or Wolf. Wolf will move up. He can move, again, 3.5 inches and still shoot. So he will. Oops, sorry, Lucky. He'll move up into this gap right here, which gives him a nice shot at this guy or this guy. They're both under cover, so it's going to be a +1 either way. So is he within 6 inches? Yes, he is. So it'll be a 4+ to hit this guy now, the one with the crossbow. And he does it. The crossbow punches through with 1 point of armor, so a toughness check. And he kills him instantly. And he brought more than 1 arrow. Lucky, I guess, who will move her 2 inches. She's got nowhere to go. She's going to move 4 inches, maybe run all 6. And, whoops, use 2 inches to climb up this little hill where the tree is. To give her a better view / a +1 to attack with her bow next time. Let's see, Vic Vicious will run forward because he's got nothing else he can do except use his sling, but he can't see anybody. So he's charging. She went. Ivan will do the same. He'll just run around the corner. George was going to attack, but he can't run very far because of his heavy armor. So he will just move his 6 inches up, which is going to stop him right over there because it takes him 1 inch to hop over the fence. And Emo Eric can run up to 6, and he's going to do it also, even though that's probably foolish, and run around the corner to engage this guy, even though he can't actually attack him at this time. Okay, zooming in a little bit, we've got Vic Vicious, George, Wolf over there behind the tree, and not to be forgotten, way up off screen at the moment is Emo Eric, all going early. Vic Vicious will start us off. He is going to move 2 inches just up to this edge and use his sling. And he will shoot at the one guy who is not currently obscured, being this guy, who is also 6 inches away. Oops, sorry, dude. So Vic hits on a 3+ with his sling, and he misses. Okay. Next up, kind of want Wolf to go next. 3.5 inches, so he can almost get over that, but not quite, and still shoot. So he'll move right to here. He has a shot at pretty much anybody except the captain. So just those 2 guys. So I guess he will take a shot at this guy because he's in the open. He's within 6. So hitting on a 3+. He does it. Crossbow punches through the armor, so toughness check. Takes him out. Man, Wolf is dangerous today with that crossbow. George has enough movement to run around this corner and foolishly attack upwards at the captain. That'll give the captain a +1 in the combat because the captain's overall bonus is a +2. George is also an overall +2. So the captain is actually at a +1, which is probably silly on George's part, but he didn't want to wait. So the captain wins. The captain is the attacker, but George wins. So now George is the attacker in round 3. Let's see, that push back, so no change in locations. Let's see, the captain wins. So the only thing that happens there is George gets pushed back. And that's the end of the round. That was not spectacular. Finally, we'll head on up to Emo Eric. Okay, up here, Emo Eric is just going to go for it and wail away at this guy. He has a +0 to his combat value. The Legion of Swine has a +1. So +1 to the Legion of Swine overall. Wow, Legion of Swine wins handily. Next up is, next round, the Legion of Swine is attacking. Strangely, he loses. So back to Emo Eric for round 3, who also loses. And so that was also incredibly ineffective. And now on to the slow hero phase. I guess we'll have Ivan start, and he will take a shot after moving up a couple inches. Whoops. Figures. We'll try to, well, actually, I think the captain's going to jump right in here and attack George. That makes it even, since he's no longer got his high ground location. But he's got a much better chance of hitting George than this guy does. So, even on the roll, George wins, so he'll be the instigator in round 2. George loses, which allows the captain, to do a counter attack. So he rolls against George's armor, which is a 3. So he meets the armor, doesn't exceed it, but that means that George is stunned. Going into round 3, the captain is the aggressor and has a +1. But everybody fails miserably. So George is pushed back 1 inch because he wasn't the aggressor, and that's the end of that combat. Next up, this guy is going to hop over the fence because he sees how easy it is to take on George and try it himself. The problem is this guy is now at a, well, actually he's not at a -1. George would be at a +2, but he's still stunned because it's the enemy phase. So he's only at a +1, which is what this guy's at, so it's still even. But George wins, so he'll be the aggressor in round 2. And they tie. So that pushes this guy back 1 inch, and the combat ends. It's pretty much still just a slugfest over there. The Legion of Swine has a +1 and is starting the attack. Yep, he wins. Emo Eric has 1 point of armor and a shield, which he wasn't able to use, so punches right past his armor. Emo Eric's toughness is a 3. He punches right through that too, so Emo Eric is out. Huh, all right. And now on to the slow heroes. Okay, well, we've got 3. We've got Ivan, who's kind of hiding behind this tree here. He will move up 2 inches and take a shot at the captain. Now that he can see him. That he'll still be hitting on a 5+. Nope. Lucky is out of ammo, so she's going to have to just charge forward and try and assist. She can go 6 inches, takes her 1 inch to get down, and 5 inches forward. So she can get right up to here, which will be useful here in a second for George if he shifts around. And finally, we've got Claus, who is also out of ammo, but is much faster. Let's see, he can go 10 inches if he sprints, which he might as well because he has no ammunition. So if he weaves through traffic, he can get himself all the way up to here. Because he runs a lot faster when he's out of ammo. Okay, that's it for the turn. Okay, George is going first. One of the few, in fact the only in this case. So he will shift to the left here so he can get within 1 inch of Lucky for the support and attack the captain. All right, George and the captain are both at a +2, but now George has a +1 from being backed up by Lucky. So he's at a +1 overall, but he loses anyway. The captain has counterattack, so the captain will make an armor check. Gets past his armor. Toughness of 4. That's a 5. Okay. We'll continue to use my story points to defend George. We had 1 story point left. Now we have 0. Okay, with the hit negated, the captain is still the aggressor going into round 2. Even though George has a +1. In this case, it works out and he defends himself. So going in round 3, George is the aggressor. And he actually wins a combat for once. The captain has an armor of 2. George can get through 1, so anything but a 1 for the armor. Nope, bounces off the armor. All right, well that pushes the captain back 1 inch. And the combat ends. First off, from way downtown, this guy is going to move 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's when having that little square thing is helpful. He can't do any more than that because he doesn't have any ranged weaponry, but at least he's getting into the fight. And now we move on to the captain and his associate. Okay, now being that these are the head dude of the Faceless Kingdom's hideout, I don't think just making him blindly attack straight forward is the best ploy. So we're going to have his henchmen run around and attack Lucky, his support character, first. So he has a +1. Lucky is at +0, but with George backing her up, it's +1. So it's even. And if he can manage to even push her back, George will lose his support. So first round, he loses. Going into the second round, Lucky's the aggressor. She wins. Let's see, armor check. She's using a fine sword, so anything but a 1 gets a 1. Going into round 3, she's the aggressor, and she has a +1. But she blows it entirely because he has counterattack because he started this engagement. He gets to roll against her armor, but he doesn't succeed. So lucky for Lucky, She's still standing and still supporting George. So that means the captain has to close in and do it the hard way. Okay, the captain is at a +2. George is at a +2. George is still getting backed up by Lucky, amazingly. So George is at a +1 overall going into the first round. The captain is the aggressor. And the captain loses, so George succeeds. So going into round 2, George is the aggressor. But he blows it. Which means that the captain can counterattack. So he will make an armor check versus George's 3. And he gets past it. And toughness check. Oh, man. Toughness check. Does not succeed. Oh, this time it did. George does not have counterattack, but he is able to push the captain back 1 inch. And that's the end of the monster turn. Now it's time for the slow hero phase. To start us off, we're going to have Ivan use heal on George, which has a 6-inch range, so I don't think there's going to be a problem there. I do believe. It might actually be longer than that, but I feel like it was 6 inches. Regardless, it's within range. He just needs a 3+ because Ivan's casting is crazy now. So no problem there. So that heals George's wound. So he's back up to full health. Okay, next up, after Ivan, we will have Claus step right up to Lucky here and attack this guy. Claus is overall at a +0, but he's got a +1 from Lucky, so that makes it even. So he wins the first combat. Armor check. He's using a bastard sword, so he still has to get past his armor, which he does. And toughness check. 3+ will take the guy out, or excuse me, 4+ will take him out with the bastard sword. Instead, he's just wounded. So they go into the second round. Still even. Claus is still the aggressor. Claus wins. Armor check. Nope. So he's stunned going into round 3. Claus is at a +1. Definitely wins that. Armor check. Yep. And pretty much anything but a 1, since the guy's already wounded, will take him out. And he does. So Claus provides good backup and clears out this guy. Wolf will turn this way and shoot that guy. He needs a 3+ to do it. And he does. He punches through his armor automatically with the crossbow, and 5 or 6 takes him out. Anything else wins, except a 1, which does nothing. Next, we got Vic Vicious, who is going to move up a little bit and take a shot at the captain with his sling, hitting on a 3+ from there. He hits. To get past his armor, he needs a 4+ because the sling stinks at armor. He does not get it. Plinks off the armor. That just leaves Lucky, who has no ammo. So she may just stay there and back up George. I think that's what she's going to do. All right, initiative. Okay, Wolf is starting us off. He's the only early goer, and he is going to... The captain was wounded, but he's not anymore, thanks to regeneration. So he will take a shot at the captain from there, which would be a 3+, but I'd say that's enough obscuring with the other people there that it's now a 4+. Yep, hits him. Get through his armor, anything but a 1 with the crossbow. And he does. And to wound him, he needs a 5, well, anything but a 1 and a 6 to take him out immediately. And it's a 1. Well, the captain is stunned at least, so that takes away 1 from his combat value, which would be great, except Wolf's the only person going in the early phase, so the captain immediately recovers, and it's now the enemy phase. Okay, the captain will step up and fight George. George is at a +1 overall, because they're even on skill and Lucky's backing him up. So George wins. So going into round 2, George is the aggressor. And surprisingly, George actually wins again. Armor check, anything but a 1. Yep. And toughness check, 6 to take him out. Otherwise, he's wounded. He is wounded. So somebody has to do something else to make this stick. But that does push him back 1 inch. Will George boldly follow up? I think he will. Well, no, he won't. George is going to stay back. And the reason why is because he still has another chance to hit this guy before the end of the round, and he regenerates. Meanwhile, over here, this guy's going to charge up and attack Wolf, so they are even. Legion of Swine handily wins. Armor check. Does not get through, but does push him back 1 inch. And he will follow up into round 2, where he wins again. But Wolf deflects with his shield this time, so that takes us straight into round 3, pushing him 1 inch again. And now Wolf is backed up by, well, pretty much everybody, which means Wolf's now at a +1, although the Legion of Swine guy is still the aggressor, and that makes it a tie. So, Wolf is pushed back again, and that's the end of the combat. Okay, now we're on to the slow hero phase. We'll start with Ivan, who's just standing right there. He will take a shot. He hits. Anything but a 1 for the armor. No problem there. Toughness, pretty much anything a wound, 5 or 6 takes him out. And he's wounded. Okay, next up we got Vic Vicious, who is going to take a slingshot at that wounded guy, hitting on a 3+. Nope. Okay, next up is Next up is Claus, who, moving this die, is going to move up 3 inches because he still can and shoot. So he's going to move up right to there. Or should he just attack? But he's not quite as good. So he's just going to move up to there and support George. Next we got Lucky, who is going to run around the corner and attack this guy who is wounded. Except she won't be supported if she goes from that direction. So she's going to have to hop over the fence this way. Sorry about that. And attack like that. That will give her a +0 overall with the support. So even, and she's the aggressor, and it's a tie. So that'll push this guy back wounded 1 inch, and the combat ends. That just leaves George, who rushes in to attack the captain, who is still wounded. Hopefully he can finish him off before he regenerates again. George is at a +1 overall. And that's a tie. Golly. All right, the captain's pushed back 1 inch. That's the end of the combat. The captain regenerates because that's the end of the round. The other guy does not have regeneration, so he just remains wounded. And that takes us to the top of the round. Initiative. Well, that's finally a bit better. So George and Claus, we'll start it off. Claus will move up and around with his significant amounts of movement. Should he worry about attacking? That's a good question. Maybe he will, to start it off. He will rush in and attack. He's backed up by George. He is at a -1 versus the captain overall, so the captain's at a +1. Claus is the aggressor. So Claus loses. The captain gets to counterattack. So armor check. Goes past his armor. Toughness check. Oh boy, well that was a bad idea. Claus is immediately out. Okay. Wolf, who is also going early, is going to have to run up here to back up George now instead of doing what he was going to do. And he will move his full 7 inches to get up here in a support role. And now George will attack the captain and hopefully be able to finish him off in this attack instead of just wounding him once. So George is at a +1 overall. Nope, he loses. The captain gets to counterattack. Oops, sorry about that. The captain gets to counterattack, so armor check. Doesn't get past his armor. So going into round 2, the captain is the aggressor. But George wins. So going in round 3, George is the aggressor again. But George loses again. And the captain counterattacks, but fouls it up. Boy, oh boy. So George is pushed back 1 inch. And that's the end of that combat. And now we're on to the late hero. Oh, excuse me. Now we're on to the enemy phase. Boy. Okay, this guy who's wounded is going to charge Lucky. It'll be even overall because he has combat skill +1. She doesn't, but she's backed up by Vic. So even overall. She wins, so she's the aggressor in round 2. She loses, so he's the aggressor in round 3. And he loses. So a whole lot of nothing happens over there. Now, over here, the captain, not being an idiot, is going to attack Wolf instead of George. So that will make them even overall. Because Wolf has a +1 combat value, the captain has a +2, and he's backed up by George, so that makes it even. So, the captain's the aggressor, and he wins. Let's see, armor check does not get through. Does push back Wolf 1 inch. The captain will follow up, and now Wolf is not supported by George. So the captain is at a +2 overall going into the second attack. But weirdly, Wolf manages to pull him saving grace out there. So going in round 3, Wolf's the aggressor, but the captain still has a +2. And wow, he wins anyway. So Wolf needs to overcome 2 points of armor, so 3+. He does it. And for toughness, a 5 or 6 will take him out because of the Bastard Sword. Anything else will be his one and only wound, I think, so far this turn. But it doesn't matter because Wolf, in a bold move, finishes off the captain. Wow. Ivan, who will take a shot at this guy from 3 inches away again. Hit on a 3. He runs out of ammo. Alright, that's alright. Lucky, who is being backed up by Vic, and is also out of ammo, will just attack. So it'll be even. She wins. Good for you. Armor check. No problem there. And he's already wounded, so anything but a 1 will finish this guy off. And she does. Okay, because we achieved our objective and we held the field, we get to roll twice on the unusual finds table and 1 extra time on the loot table. But first, on to adventure points. Okay, we were victorious over the enemy threat encounter or raid this time. So we get a D6 adventure points, which is the best reason to raid a hideout outside of you got to do it to win the campaign. So we pick up 4 adventure points, which is awesome. That brings us up to 5. So before anything else, let's mark off that the Faceless Kingdom hideout is wiped out. That's 2 out of 3 we need to win the campaign. All right, so we defeated the hideout, which gave us 4 adventure points, so we have 5 adventure points overall. So we definitely need to try and reduce the Faceless Kingdom influence. It's at 4 right now. We're going to burn 3 adventure points. On a 1, 2, or 3, the Faceless Kingdom loses an influence. Oh, come on. All right, so we got 2 adventure points left. We're going to try again. On a 1 or a 2, they lose an influence point. So 5 adventure points burned, no influence lost. But we did clear their hideout, so that's something. Okay, on to wound checks. We'll start with Emo Eric. 60. He is moderately injured. So that's a D6 injuries, or wounds. Wow, okay. Emo Eric's going to be out for 6 days. And now Claws. 71. That is item damage. Of course it is. 1 through 6. Huh. All right. 1 through 6. That's a 3. His armor is damaged. Well, we're going to have to get that fixed. So for experience points, everybody survives, so everybody gets 1 experience. Wolf gets an extra experience for destroying the captain, and they held the field, everybody except Claws. So everybody's either getting 2 or 3 experience points. That wasn't enough to put anybody over the edge to the next level. So now we just do the inspiration check for Vic Vicious, who is not inspired. Okay, on to the loot. We get 2 unusual finds rolls. So here's the first one. 56. 56 is valuable goods for unusual find number 1. And it's 13. And that's an art object, aka D6 gold. Come on, good number. 5. So we pick up 5 gold pieces there. Unusual loot roll number 2 is cocked. 46. And a 46 is an excellent weapon. So there's an excellent weapon subtable. Two, a fine standard weapon. Ah, well, good. Another one. Okay, and now the 2 loot rolls on the regular loot table. 79 is a consumable. In this case, 17, which is crafting materials. And second loot roll is 70, which is a tool. And on the tool subtable, 20. And 20 is an icon. All right, just to clear some stuff out of our inventory, an icon just gives you +1 to devotion checks, which, okay, that's handy, I guess. We are going to use our 1 repair kit to fix Claw's damaged armor, which will get rid of that. And then we will use the crafting material we just got to upgrade it to fine partial armor, so it's unlikely to break again. Last but not least, settling in, and news of the day is OT8, which is absolutely nothing is happening, as you can see there. So that wraps up this particular episode. So there you have it. The Faceless Kingdom's hideout is wiped out. Everybody came out of it okay, used some supplies that had been sitting in the inventory for quite some time to take care of the armor and generally upgrade it. Unfortunately, burned 5 adventure points for nothing. So that's a little frustrating. But the hideout is gone, and so we can keep on moving. Next up, some people are going to need a lot of healing, Emo Eric to be specific, but I don't think we'll let that slow us down. We'll probably proceed right on into the next hideout and attempt to knock that one out, and see what we can do about continuing to reduce. Maybe we'll use an adventure point to finish off the Ruin Within, hopefully. Here's hoping for better rolling on the adventure points going forward. In any case, I am Ray. This is TinyTableGames. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day. Catch you next time.